Relevant in all times and to all ages, Ramayan delves deeply into human behavior through their characters, thus showing followers the right path towards dharma or righteousness. Such is the tale of Vibhishana, the brother of King Ravana, who was the Rakshasa king of Lanka. His life is one of the best examples of selflessness, devotion, service, and adherence to the Dharma. Vibhishana was the youngest son of Sage Vishrava and Kaikesi. The brother of Ravana and Kumbhakarna, he is also one of the Seven Chiranjivis or the Seven Immortal Beings in Hinduism who will live on earth till the end of the present Kali Yuga. To know more about the Seven Chiranjivis, watch the video linked in the comments below. Right from his childhood, Vibhishana had a pure mind and sattvic nature. Even though he was a demon by birth, he considered himself to be a Brahmin. He was the grandson of the great sage Pulatsya, so he was particular to keep up the name and reputation of his illustrious lineage. Hence, he discharged all his karmas as a Brahmin would. As a little boy, he would spend all his time meditating on the name of the Lord. Pleased with his devotion, Lord Brahma appeared before him and offered him any boon he wanted. Vibhishana said that the only thing he ever wanted was to have his mind unwaveringly fixated on the Hari's lotus feet. He only wanted to be the servant of Sri Maha Vishnu. Brahma readily granted him his boon and disappeared from there. Vibhishana played a vital role in the Ramayana. He moved away from his own family, giving up all his wealth and royal status. He then supported and aided Ram throughout his tussle with Ravana. To understand his character to the fullest extent, we go right back to the time of Sita's Swayamvar. Ravana had wanted Sita ever since he first laid eyes on her. When the time came, Sita's father, King Janaka, arranged her Swayamvar ceremony. For this, he invited all the kings and princes from the nearby kingdoms to come and participate in the ceremony. King Janaka stipulated a condition for the prospective groom during the ceremony. He declared that only the person who would be able to lift and string the massive Shivdhanush would be able to win the hand of his daughter in marriage. Many mighty rulers came forward to pick up the bow, but none could manage to even move it an inch. Ravana too was one of the participants. Being vain and overconfident, he was absolutely sure that he would be able to lift the bow with ease. He was an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva, but his ego blinded him. Casually strolling up to the platform where the bow was placed, Ravana gloated that he would be able to lift it with his little finger. He then proceeded to lift it, taking minimum effort. When he saw that it would not move, he went on to put in more and more effort, finally using all his might. After several tries, Ravana did manage to lift it a bit off the ground. However, it proved to be too heavy for him and dropped back to the platform with a loud thud. Frustrated and humiliated, he returned to his seat, secretly vowing that he would make Sita his own no matter what came in his way. Rama, the prince of Ayodhya, was also present in the gathering, along with his younger brother Lakshman and sage Vishwamitra. When his turn came, praying to Lord Shiva, offered his obeisance to Shivadhanush. Bending down, he lifted the bow in one effortless swoop and strung it, giving the string a sharp twang, the echo of which rang miles away. Everyone present there cheered and applauded this young prince who had accomplished the impossible. The marriage ceremony took place in a grand manner, and Ram and Sita became man and wife with the blessings of everyone present there. All except Ravana, who stormed out of the venue in rage. When Ram, Lakshman and Sita spent the 13th year of their exile in the forests of Panchavati. Upon the instigation of Shurpanakha, Ravan decides to abduct Sita. Ravan then disguised himself as a Brahmin beggar and came begging for alms in the absence of Ram. Sita came out with some rice and requested him to come and get it from her. Knowing that he had to lure Sita out of the Lakshman Rekha, he refused and asked her to come and give it to him instead. Just as Sita stepped out of the protective line, Ravan lifted the entire piece of earth that she was standing on. Placing it on his Pushpak Viman, he flew away with her towards Lanka. Vibhishan was always against Ravan's attitude. He took serious exception to his brother's heinous and cowardly act of kidnapping Sita. In return for his wise advice and intentions to bring his brother back to the path of righteousness, Ravan always insulted and humiliated him in front of everyone. Finally, Vibhishan could not take it anymore, so he approached his mother Kaikesi for advice. Being the wise woman she was, she asked him to go away from Lanka and join Ram. At that time, Ram was busy assembling an army in order to fight Ravan and bring back Sita. As per his mother's advice, Vibhishan decided to flee Lanka and join hands with Ram. Before leaving, he called his daughter Trijata, who was guarding Sita in Ashokavatika. He asked her to take good care of Sita. He also told his wife Sarama about his plans and asked her to take good care of herself. He then secretly left Lanka with his mace in his hand and also accompanied by two of his favorite demons. It is commonly believed that while going to meet a warrior to surrender oneself, one should not carry any weapons. However, Vibhishan had a purpose in carrying along his mace. He was overwhelmed when he finally reached the shores of Rameshwaram, where Ram, Lakshman and the Vanar Sena were seated. At last, he could have a darshan of his Lord, who he was destined to serve for the rest of his life. Seeing Vibhishan approach them with the mace in his hand, Sugriv thought that he was coming to attack them. But Ram instantly realized why he had the weapon in his hand. The Lord knew that Vibhishan was actually his mace, just as Lakshman was his Adi Shesha and his Shankha and Chakra were his own brothers Bharat and Shatrughna. It is said that whenever Vishnu takes an avatar on earth in order to fight and destroy evil, his mace, conch and discus also accompany him in some human form. They then help the Lord to fight all the evil and re-establish Dharma on earth. Vibhishan approached Ram and humbly fell at his feet. Ram fondly welcomed him into their fold and embraced him. Vibhishan proved to be a great asset to Ram and his army, as he divulged all the secrets and tactics of the Lanka army. His main aim was to defeat his brother and see to it that Ram would emerge victorious in the battle. Vibhishan also revealed the secret path to the temple of Mata Nikumbala, the family deity of Pulatsya dynasty. There, Ravan's son Indrajit was performing a yagya to defeat Ram. Lakshman immediately went inside and destroyed that yagya, thereby denying him the blessings of their Kuldevi. Indrajit then decided to perform certain rituals and sacrifices to burn Rama to ashes. The magic tricks he employed for the same created much confusion amongst Ram's army. Vibhishan, being an Asura himself, immediately recognized what was happening and why. He employed counter tricks to nullify the power of Indrajit's black magic. Vibhishan also warned Ram and Lakshman about the blackberry tree under which Indrajit performed all his magic rituals. The place was littered with bodies of humans who had been sacrificed during the rituals. He informed them that Indrajit's powers would be magnified when he sat under the tree and advised them to somehow pull him away from that tree. Once the Setu Bandhana to Lanka was complete, Ram crossed over to Lanka and challenged Ravana to a battle. However, in spite of fighting long and hard, he could not kill the demon king. Seeing the potential damage that his brother was capable of causing to Rama's army, Vibhishana stepped forward and revealed the secret of Ravana's death to Ram. Ravana stored the nectar of immortality in his navel, and in order to slay him, it was necessary to hit him in the navel and dry out the nectar. Ram immediately pulled out an arrow, took aim, and shot it at Ravana. The arrow found its mark and pierced Ravana on his navel, instantly killing him. Ram then freed and elated Sita from her captivity and prepared to take her back to Ayodhya. Before leaving, he showed Vibhishana his real form as Sri Maha Vishnu, blessed him, and also crowned him as the king of Lanka. He then asked him to rule wisely, keeping Dharma in mind at all times. Vibhishana was an epitome of devotion and selfless service. After ascending the throne of Lanka, he worked towards transforming his subjects and leading them on the path of Dharma or righteousness. His wife Sarma was also a pious lady and helped him in all his efforts. With the Lord's grace, he came to be known as one among the Seven Chiranjivis or the immortal beings of Hinduism. As per Rama's direction, he continued to remain on earth, spreading the message of devotion and selfless service to God. He also became an ardent devotee of Lord Ranganatha, the family deity of the Suryavanshi to which Lord Ram belonged. Symbolically, Vibhishana personifies devotion. His story also indicates that in spite of being a demon, God does not distinguish between his devotees and showers his grace equally on all beings. Before returning to Ayodhya with Sita and Lakshman, Ram advised Vibhishana that he should marry Mandodari, the widow of Ravana and the reigning queen of Lanka. He also visited the bereaved Mandodari, consoled her, and reminded her of her duties to the kingdom. Mandodari is one of the 5 Shreshta Nari of Hindu epics. She was a noble woman and was completely loyal to her husband. She was against Ravana abducting Sita and begged him to return her to Ram. She knew that Ravana was being adharmic and was well aware of the consequences. However, she knew that she had to stay by his side no matter what. Given her character, Mandodari was unwilling to marry Vibhishana, who was already married and had a daughter as well. After Rama and his entourage left Lanka, she returned to her own palace and disconnected herself from the outside world. Sometime later, she returned from her palace and decided to wed Vibhishana. This incident seems to be mentioned in Tulsidas' Ramcharitmanas as well. There are some reasons as to why Mandodari may have agreed to marry Vibhishana. According to one theory, Ravana's race may have had matrilineal families, and hence it became necessary for Vibhishana to marry the reigning queen of the land so as to bring order into the kingdom. Though the character of Vibhishana inspires one to lead a dharmic life, it also continues to receive much criticism from the Indian society. He was the one who betrayed his own brother and joined with a foreign enemy. He then went on to become the ruler of Lanka, also marrying his brother's wife. In fact, there is an idiom in Hindi which goes, "Ghar ka bhedi, Lanka dhaye." This talks about Vibhishana derogatorily, saying that a betrayer in one's house can bring down even a kingdom as mighty as Lanka and can burn it to the ground. Epics such as Ramayana bring us characters in order to make us understand the practical implications of Dharma. In this story, neither Vibhishana nor Kumbhakarna ever strayed from their personal concept of Dharma. They were merely pushed into circumstances that created a moral dilemma for them. Kumbhakarna too knew that Ravana was going against Dharma, but chose to be loyal to his kin, in spite of Ravana failing to heed his advice. On the other hand, Vibhishana chose to oppose his kin when his advice failed. Hence, this was a matter of choosing and adhering to personal principles, not a matter of right and wrong. All his life, Vibhishana was devout, pure of heart, and dharmic. He never intentionally hurt anyone or caused harm in any way. As a ruler too, he carried out his duties in a wise and just manner, thus bringing peace and prosperity to his land and his subjects.